Oh, he has a light gonna bother you. Let's see, pull it open. Oh yeah, that does help a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, that works. It brightened up a little bit. Yeah. Okay. That's
turn around and face this way.
oh, good. My laptop screen is just dark. Hold on, y'all.
Where's your screen? Rather than that, actually.
I don't know. Come like stand to the side and look.
Your screen could be dark. I think your screen, though, you need to lighten up your screen.
Yeah, it's all the way bright.
It is.
Oh, that's a sound. I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yes, it looks a whole lot better. Okay, yeah, this will work for now. This will work for now. Okay, thanks, babe. All right. Testing. 1, 2, 3. All right. Audrey, shalom. Hey, girl. Hey. All right, beautiful people. All right, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. It is May the 1st, 2022, day 96 of year 4, reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1114, y'all. Today, we picking back up on page 49 of the Oahspe. And then after we read that, we're going to jump to the meditation book on page 84. Ate, shalom. All right, beautiful people, let's get started. As you can see, we are in our temporary abode until our home is ready. So you're just gonna see this background for the next like 2 weeks. So
45 minutes talk on that. That's your limit. All that 2 hours, nah.
I don't be 2 hours. I only got like 5 videos of 2 hours.
We close together now.
I know you can hear every single word, huh?
What you say?
So you can hear every single word, huh? Okay. All right, beautiful people. Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you that you protected us every single day of our lives up until this day, and still the day's coming. We just thank you in advance. Continue to lead us and guide us into all truth as we search for you. All right, y'all. So we stopped at chapter 9 on page 49. And this is the book of Ashong, son of Jehovah. Tale, hey girl, hey. Mom, shalom. Y'all see mezuzahs in the back. Y'all got mezuzahs on y'all doors. Some people might be like, that's a Jewish thing, but I've taken a deep spiritual liking to it. Everywhere we go, we got to put up a mezuzah, right? Especially if we're going to be there for a little while. Normally, like just weekend trips or something, we don't, But if we're going to be there for a little while, we take the mezuzahs, right? Okay. All right, y'all. Chapter 9. Now had the time come for the end of the first dawn of Dan after the creation of man. And this was known in the Ethereal heavens, where lived countless millions of Jehovah's sons and daughters emancipated. And as might be expected, they determined to descend from all sides to witness the labors of Ashong and to receive his works as a profitable lesson for their own future on other new worlds. Consequently, there began to appear in the firmament far off stars approaching, and these were the Ethereal ships in remote places where the name of Ashong had been known for thousands of years. From all sides they came, growing brighter and brighter, larger and larger. Ashong spoke to his companions, saying, "Make ready, O my beloved. My friends and your friends are coming. Put our ship in order, light the pillars of fire, and spread out the sails, shining that they may be glorified in Jehovah's name." The proper persons accomplished these things, and to the eastward of Yeshua, the Etherian ship of Ashon was anchored, and so great was the size thereof that there was room for the Etherians of Anachron, and upward of 300 million of the redeemed of earth besides. Ashong said, when our friends arrive, we shall join them and make an excursion round the earth, discovering its ranks and glorious promises. But as to the 900 million Druhas, which I sent off to Hudal and Gia, we shall pass thither on our way to Anachron. Brighter and brighter grew the descending stars, the Etherian ships from far off worlds, and larger, till in majesty they neared Yeshua. Remember, Yeshua is not a person here. Uncle JB, Shalom. It is the name of the city. It's called Yeshua, which is the city of salvation, right? Okay. Just in case you missed it. Brighter and brighter grew the descending stars, the Etherian ships from far off worlds, and larger, till in majesty they neared Yeshua. Ashong then came down and sat at the foot of the throne, according to the customs of gods. God came down and took them by the hand, saying, Son of Jehovah, that maketh thyself the least of men, arise and take thy host, and embark in Jehovah's ship, going whithersoever thou wilt. Ashong rose up. The Isinars and trumpeters played and sang. Then Ashong said, one more love have I in the world, O Jehovah. I go from Yeshua, but my love remaineth. To thee, O God, will I look back in hope and love, for thou wert raised by me. And to thy lords, what less could I say? Yea, to all the hosts I leave within these realms. Ashong touched God's right hand, and then saluting with the third sign of Emeth to Jehovah, departed, and the marshals conducted him off to the ship. Okay, so after Emeth is reference letter G, and that is Emeth is a sign of faith in Jehovah. See Book of Sapphire, chapter Emethakava. Yep, that's what it says. Emethakava. Emethachachavah. All right. Ashong and his Etherian host rose up in curtains of light, and presently the ship was loosened from its anchorage and floated upward, and all the angels entered into it, and the sails were spread out, and the mantles suspended on every side, till the whole vessel, with its thousands of masts and arcs, looked like a world on fire. The inhabitants of Yeshua feared and trembled for the mighty works of the gods and goddesses, and yet, as the Isinars on the departing ship chanted more than a million voices, the Yeshuans sang with them amidst their tears, with souls overflowing with awe and love and admiration. And in this same time, the descending stars of other gods and goddesses, the Etherian ships from far off worlds, were drawing nearer and nearer, and on every side the firmament was as if alive with worlds on fire. Presently they came, first one, then another of the Etherians, and they made fast to Ashong's ship, until thus more than 500 were united into a mighty vessel, and yet so near to Yeshua that all could be seen. And when they had united, there were countless millions of angels, thus in close proximity, many who had known one another for thousands of years, and some who were older than the earth and knew its history. And these had companions as old as themselves, and they were ripe in experience with corporal earths, stars, and suns, and other regions of Jehovah's kingdom. Hey, hey, oh great spirit, good afternoon from this part of our world. Peace and blessings to you too. Remember, they're in the UK, y'all. Okay. So great was the wisdom of these gods and goddesses that to come within the earth's atmosphere was sufficient to enable them to read all the souls and prayers of mortals and all the thoughts and desires of the spirits of the lower heaven belonging to the earth. To each and all of them, the voice of Jehovah was ever present, and their power was like unto their wisdom. Jehovah hath said, to the corporean, I have given power to hear one or two things at the same moment of time, but my gods can hear intelligently tens of thousands of men speaking at the same time. That's what we would call here in our understanding omnipresent, right? We can only hear like the things in our surrounding area. And if your spiritual ears have been open, you can hear that. But not a bunch of stuff like the gods and goddesses can do. Remember, the gods and the goddesses are those who have graduated multiple levels to where they can actually now rule over the earth. Remember, even in the New Testament, we hear about the powers and the principalities that rule nations and providences, right? It's not just demons, y'all. That is the gods and goddesses, or those who have ascended to that level in their spiritual walk. They've already left the flesh, but they've kept on growing through school of the spirit, right? And they've reached that. But that's many, we'll just call it millennia before you can reach that and get your turn to rule as God or goddess of earth, right? Or whichever world. Because apparently we are not the first one. Okay. Let me go back to where I was. Robert, shalom, shalom. Presently they came, first one and then another of the Etherians, and they made fast to Ashong's ship until thus more than 500 were yeah, until thus more than 500 were united into one mighty vessel, and yet so near to Yeshua that all could be seen. I know I went back up a couple verses. And when they were united, there were countless millions of angels, thus in close proximity, many who had known one another for thousands of years, and some who were older than the earth and knew its history. And these had companions as old as themselves, and they were ripe in experience with corporal suns and earth's stars and suns in other regions of Jehovah's kingdom. So great was the kingdom of these gods and goddesses that to come within the earth's atmosphere was sufficient to enable them to read all the souls and prayers of mortals and all the thoughts and desires of the spirits of the lower heaven belonging to the earth. To each and all of them, the voice of Jehovah was ever present, and their power was like unto their wisdom. Jehovah hath said to the corporean, which are we're corporeans, right? Those here, spirits still locked in our fleshly form. Jehovah hath said to the corporean, I have given power to hear one or two things at the same moment of time, but my gods can hear intelligently tens of thousands of men speaking at the same time. Yea, they can find a way to answer them also. When the ships were ready for departure, Ashong said, let us pass low over Yeshua, and ye shall hear and see those I have founded in a new heaven. His companion said, Jehovah's will be done. Thereupon they proceeded, and after they had visited Yeshua, they descended to the earth and round about the places of the lords. And when they had, hold on, let me read that again. Thereupon they proceeded, and after they had visited Yeshua, they descended to the earth and round about the places of the lords. And when they had seen all and heard the explanation from those with the shong of the state of the earth, I'm sorry, let me go back. I'm still reading it too slow. I'm sorry, y'all. Thereupon they proceeded, and after they had visited Yeshua, they descended to the earth and round about the places of the lords. And when they had seen all and heard the explanation from those with a shong of the state the earth was in, and of the heavens of the earth, they rose higher and higher and sailed toward Anachron, whither Ashong had invited them for a repast and social intercourse. Thus departed the Etherians from the earth and atmosphere, This then was the beginning of the cycles of Dan, and the first dawn was closed and past. And the earth gods, that is, the lords who were now called Adonia, or what we would, um, my Facebook is trying to reconnect. Y'all still there? Okay, the time's still going. Okay. Or what with the term we say is Adonai, right? Okay. And the earth's gods, that is, the lords who were now called Adonia, were such as had been brought forth out of the earth. Remember, all of these helping, we call it, whether we want to call them ministering angels, remember there are ranks and different, just like you said in the military, ranks. You raise in ranks as you, like the first rank is like being the seed inside of your father's scrotum, right? And then you move to the next one. Now you enter into a new, you go from world to world, literally, y'all. First of all, you begin as a thought in the mind of the creator. Then you are a seed and you're carried by your father, right? When your father's ready to pass you on, he passes you to your mother, and she then carries you for a period of time, right? And after you're ready to be born out of her world, you're now born into this world, right? And we're here for a period of time. And after we leave here, we're born into the next world, right? It's just we keep going from glory to glory, or from life to life, right? And in each place we develop just a little bit more, right? And it's the whole process is not just the developing of our flesh, but the real purpose is the development of our spirit, which is housed inside of the flesh. This is just the vehicle we need to operate here as our spirit grows and develops, right? The spirit never dies. So when we leave here, you're being born into the unseen realm, and you still, it's not like you completely go away from here. You do, in our understanding, if we don't really understand what death is, but you move to the next level. And the next level, you grow a little bit more to where when you reach a certain level, now you begin to help those who are here. Like a lot of the help we get, I would venture to say almost all of the help we get here is from those who've already graduated this level, right? Think about the steps that ascended to Pharaoh's throne, right? Those that are higher can help the ones below, but those lower cannot help the ones above because we have no knowledge of those things. Those who've passed up and passed through the different levels can turn back and help their brethren or their sister. Same thing when they pass from this life into the next, until as they keep going, they then get the opportunity to rule daddy's house. Dad will leave them in charge of the house for a while. Everybody gets a chance to rule, right? All right. And the earth gods, that is, the lords who were now called Adonia, were such as had been brought forth out of the earth. And God, oh, one more thing, y'all probably noticed by now. Here, we only we have the gender thing going on, right? But as you become spirit, or you shed your flesh, you no longer deal with the gender thing, right? It's because now it's the combination of two. Just like Yah is one, he encompasses the male and the female attributes. Same thing will begin to happen as we continue to grow. We will begin to take on that form, right? And so there, when we rule, we will encompass all the attributes and everything, because each level is school. You learn about the earth, the nature, and everything. So when it's your turn to rule, you know what's going on in the kingdom. You know how to handle it. You know the people, the souls, the trees, what's needed. You know how to look ahead, go behind all these things. That's the whole purpose of life, to grow and develop, right? And become one with Yah. And then he just think about life and what we do as our children grow, right? They get old enough, we give them the keys to our vehicle until they get their own, right? We let them babysit. We let them babysit. If they have siblings, we let them babysit their younger brethren and sisterin, right? Until they grow up and they get their own. It's the same cycle constantly repeating over and over and over again. If we were taught these things from the very beginning, oh my gosh, how much more interesting and better and more productive life would be for everybody, right? We wouldn't have a bunch of wandering souls trying to figure out what in the world they're doing here, just running around on a hamster wheel, right? Okay. And the earth gods, that is, the lords who were now called Adonia, were such as had been brought forth out of the earth. And God, who had dominion in the atmosphere of the earth, was also an earthborn, and so were all the angels in atmosphere, the product of the earth. And in Jehovah's name were the lords and gods appointed and crowned to rule in their respective places, and thus they became the instruments of Jehovah for his glory. Jehovah said, "Whoever serveth me in my name is my son or my daughter. The light of my judgment falleth upon them sufficient for the time and place. Inasmuch as ye honor them, ye honor me also. Through the flowers of the field, I express myself in color and perfume. Through the lion and mastodon, I express myself with power and voraciousness. Through the lamb and the dove, I express myself in meekness and docility. Through man, I express myself in words and actions, and all men, the wise and the ignorant, are channels of my expression. Some have thick tongues and poor speech. Nevertheless, they are my babes, my sons and daughters. Jehovah said, "After the Simeon age, I gave to the earth from my Etherian heavens sons and daughters, and they abode with mortals for 3,000 years. And my Etherians established Lewis on the lands of the earth, and they commanded the Lewis, saying to them, Your office is to lead mortals by inspiration to dwell together, man and woman, as husband and wife, and in such adaptation that their offspring shall rise higher in wisdom, love, and power than the father and mother." Jehovah said, "I will confound the wise man in the latter days, for he shall not discover why man and woman lived not indiscriminately as the beasts. Yea, I will show him that they who profess me are led by me, and that they who deny me go down to indiscriminate communion. Out of my works shall the lessons of the early days of the earth show the presence of my hand from the beginning. But my Lewis, remember Lewis is spelled Loo apostrophe is. But my Lewis was a man and woman inspired to raise up such sons and daughters as would glorify me and my works. By my Lewis have I maintained my foothold amongst mortals, such as could comprehend me, having faith that my presence in person should ultimately triumph for the highest and best. I commanded to be called Faithist. Hold on, let me read that again. Such as could comprehend me, having faith that my presence in person should ultimately triumph for the highest and best, I commanded to be called Faithists. So those that believed in a creator and know that he was constantly leading us, he said to call them the Faithists. Now, I'm not about to use that term and take it on, right? But I'm just saying, according to this is a term that they used earlier. Faithists, those that are full of faith. Since the beginning, I have kept the thread of this line inhabiting the earth and her heavens. At the end of the second cycle, there were in the atmosphere 6,000 million angels who were for the most part in darkness, not knowing who they were or where they dwell, nor knowing nor caring whether there were other heavens or not. And now began wars in atmosphere, thousands of angels against thousands and millions against millions, for the possession of the sections of the earth, and the mortal inhabitants thereof went forth these million of warring angels. And it came to pass that mortals also fell to war, and by the obsessing angels were made to destroy their own cities and kingdoms. And the attractions of this great wickedness caused other angels of heaven to desert their schools and factories and descend down to mortals. Thus again were the kingdoms of God and his lords set at naught, and the heart, I'm sorry. Thus again were the kingdoms of God and his lords set at naught. The hard, the I keep messing it up. Let me start it one more time. I'm getting tongue tied. And the attractions of this great wickedness caused other angels of heaven to desert their schools and factories and descended down to mortals. Thus again were the kingdoms of God and his lords set at naught. The harvest of the brides and bridegrooms had long since ceased to be. The first harvest was 200 years, and the number of brides and bridegrooms was 600 million of grade 92. The second harvest was 200 years and was 800 million angels of grade 89. The third harvest was 600 years and was 2,000 million angels of grade 83. The fourth harvest was 500 years and was 2,300 million angels of grade 74. The fifth harvest was 300 years and was 600 million angels of grade 62. The sixth harvest was 400 years and 900 million angels of grade 51. And this was the last harvest, for none were of sufficient grade to abide in the Etherian heavens. Ooh, and that's the end of the book of Ashong. Where we at? 26 minutes. And here's a picture here, right? Plate 3, the types of races. So it has, okay. Okay, so this plate 3, did they mention plate 3? They I know they mentioned plate 3, okay, but plate 3 has pictures of the of the yak. Remember the one the we call it the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the yak, right? And then it has the Ehuan and it has the Ehim. And then above it has a Sioux something. A Sioux the first something. It's kind of the first. Okay, a Sioux the first race. Okay, so I'm gonna explain this first picture first. Okay, so a Sioux the first race. A Sioux is also called the race of Adam, right? And so it don't look like he was made perfect. It reminds me of when we was reading through the book of Enki when they start experimenting with the different chemicals and stuff that come from different bodies to get the perfect people, right? And so this looks like what that was talking about. They just called it a little bit different. Okay, so this first picture is a picture of a dude. He looked like he in the forest between two trees, and it's like he reaching up to the trees, but his arms are extremely long. You can see him pulling down on one branch and trying to pick something like the fruit off another. And then the picture below it is the yak. That's the one with the hunchback. The one in the middle is the Ehuan, and the smaller one is the Ehim. Okay. Let's see. I think everybody can see that. I think. Yeah. I'm trying to get a little closer so y'all can see the long armed guy at the top. Okay. The bent over one is the yak. Okay. We have 28. Let's read this next one. It's only 2 chapters. We get what? 28 minutes. We can read it. Okay. The second book of the Lords of the second cycle, being contemporaneous with the book of Ashong, son of Jehovah, which is the book we just read. This is literally a page and a half. Okay. Chapter 1. In the beginning, man was naked and not ashamed, but the Lord raised man up and bade him hide his nakedness, and man obeyed and was clothed. And the Lord walked by man for a long season, showing him the way of resurrection. And man was obedient, depending on the Lord for all things. And the Lord said unto the man, Behold, I have walked with thee and taught thee, but by my indulgence thou hast neglected to put forth thine own energy. Now I am going away from thee for a season, that thou mayest learn to develop thyself. But lest thou stumble and fall, I leave with thee certain commandments, and they shall be a guide unto thee and for thy heirs forever. Hear thou then the commandments of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt love thy Creator with all thy mind and heart and soul in all the days of thy life. All the days of thy life. And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Because thou wert born into the world without covering, thou shalt clothe thyself. Then inquired man of the Lord, behold, thou hast shown the ass what is good for him to eat, and the fish, and the serpent, and the lion, every living creature, but man hast thou not shown. But man only hast thou not shown. The Lord said, of everything that groweth up out of the ground is good to eat, I give unto thee, and they shall be food for thee. I read it again. And the Lord said, of everything that groweth up out of the ground that is good to eat, I give unto thee, and they shall be food for thee. But of all, listen, but of all things of flesh and blood, wherein is life, thou shalt not eat. Alazar Shalom. Listen, this is what the Ten Commandments, it looks like, was taken, right? Listen to this, because it goes on with some of the commandments. Like the next one shall be, thou shalt not kill, right? Let's read this one again. Let me just go back to verse 11. The Lord said, of everything that groweth up out of the ground that is good to eat, give I unto thee. Everything that grows out of the ground. We come through wombs. Animals come through wombs, not out of the ground. I'm just saying, just in case you didn't notice that. The Lord said, of everything that groweth up out of the ground that is good to eat, give I unto thee, and they shall be food for thee. But of all things of flesh and blood, wherein is life, thou shalt not eat, for thou shalt not kill. And remember before, he said, thou shalt not kill man or beast. And in order to eat beast, you got to kill it. And you're breaking a commandment, right? Which is probably why we die. We keep on eating it, right? Get all kind of stuff going on in the body. Verse 14. Man inquired of the Lord, thou hast shown the males and females of all the living the times and periods to come together, but man and woman thou hast not shown. The Lord said, thou shalt learn from the beasts and birds and fish that the female during gestation is in keeping of her creator. Thou shalt also respect the times of woman. We know they completely took that away. They burnt that scripture. Oh, yeah, your Torah is burnt. We know not anything you said about the woman. She just gonna be here to follow along with us. Let me stop. Verse 16. Thou shalt also respect the times of woman. Man inquired of the Lord, thou hast shown the bird how to build her nest, and the carnivore how to scent the subtle track of his prey, and the spider to weave his net. But as to the manner of man's house, or as to herbs that are good or are poisonous, thou hast not shown man. The Lord said, all the instinct that is in the bird or beast or fish or insect or creeping thing was created with them, but man was created blank. And yet man shall attain to more subtle senses than any other living creature. Man inquired, how shall man attain to these? The Lord answered, serve thy Creator by doing good unto others with all thy wisdom and strength, and by being true to thine own highest light, and all knowledge shall come to thee. Wow. I read that again. How do we get to be wise? He said, do what's right, and all wisdom will come unto you. Francis, shalom, shalom. Let me see. I'll go back to 18. The Lord said, all the instinct that is in the bird or beast or fish or insect or creeping thing was created with them, but man was created blank, and yet man shall attain to more subtle senses than any other living creature. Man inquired, How shall man attain to these? The Lord answered, serve thy Creator by doing good unto others with all thy wisdom and strength, and by being true to thine own highest light, and all knowledge shall come to thee. So the Lord left man for a season to himself, and man so loved the earth and whatsoever ministered unto his ease and to the flesh and to his flesh desires, that he fell from his high estate, and great darkness came upon the earth, and man cast aside his clothes and went naked and became carnal in his desires. Chapter 2. The Lord went abroad over the earth, calling, come to me, O man. Behold, thy Lord is returned. But man heard not the voice of the Lord, for by man's indulgence the spirit of man was covered up in his own flesh. Ooh, read that again. Listen. The Lord went abroad over the earth, calling, come to me, O man. Behold, thy Lord is returned. But man heard not the voice of the Lord, for by man's indulgence the spirit of man was covered up in his own flesh. The Lord sent his Lewis, masters of generations, angels next in rank above guardian angels, i.e., the Ashars. So that's what it is. It's giving a definition of the Lewis again, right? So the first rank would be the Ashars, right? Then you have the Ashars, which are the guardian angels, which are the ones we are in communication with most of the time down here, right? That's the first rank above the human, right? Then you have the different ranks. Okay, I read it. The Lord sent his Lewis, and in parentheses it has masters of generations, angels next in rank above guardian angels, i.e., the Ashars, to the Ehings, and they raised up heirs unto the Lord by controlling the parentage of the unborn, brought they into the world a new race of men of the same seed and blood as of old, and these heard the voice of the Lord. And the Lord said unto man, because thou kept not my commandments, thou hast brought affliction upon thyself and thy people to the farthest ends of the world. Now I will raise thee up once more and deliver the tribes of men from darkness into light. And the Lord delivered man into wisdom and peace and virtue, and the earth became as a garden of sweet smelling flowers and luxurious fruit. The Lord said, how sayest thou, O man, shalt thou still have a keeper? And man said, behold, I am strong and wise. Go thou away from the earth. I understand thy commandments. The Lord inquired, knowest thou the meaning of love thy creator? And man said, yea, Lord, and to love my neighbor as myself, and to do good unto others with all my wisdom and strength. Yea, I have all the highest light. I am wiser than the ancients. Behold, I want no Lord nor God. I am the highest product of all the universe. The Lord said, I will try thee, O man. I will go away for a season. So the Lord departed once more, and man had nothing to look up to. So he looked at himself and became vainglorious. And the tribes of men aspired to overcome one another. War and destruction followed. Man forgot his creator. He said, no eye seeth me, no ear heareth me. And he neglected to guard himself against the serpent. And in parentheses, the serpent is corporality, or the fleshly desires, fleshness. He forgot to guard himself against the uprising of the flesh. Not the devil, its own flesh, right? Man forgot his creator. He said, no eye seeth me, no ear heareth me. And he neglected to guard himself against the serpent, corporality. And the serpent said unto him, partake thou of all things, for they are thine. Right? Ain't that what our flesh tell us? Go ahead, just one more. One more ain't gonna hurt. Just one more sip. Go ahead. One more. One more booty call. That's it. That's it. Then we're gonna stop. Then we're gonna stop. But the more we do it, the more we got to do it, right? Y'all been there? We all been there, right? Man forgot his creator. He said, no eye seeth me, no ear heareth me. And he neglected to guard himself against the serpent, corporality. And the serpent said unto him, Partake thou of all things, for they are thine. And man gave heed, and lo and behold, the race of man descended into utter darkness, and man distinguished not his sister or mother, and woman distinguished not her brother or father. And God beheld the wickedness of man, and he called out, saying, Hear my voice, O man, hear the voice of the Lord. But because of the darkness of man, he could not hear the voice of God his Lord. And the Lord sent his angels down to man that they might appeal to man's understanding. But the angels loved darkness also, and strove not to lift man up out of darkness. And the Lord was of no more avail amongst mortals, and he departed away from the earth. And man became on the earth as a harvest that is blighted and rotted because of its rankness. And that is the end of this book. That was good, y'all. That might be our title today. I need to see. All right, y'all. So the next book we'll start tomorrow. Let me get my bookmark. The next book is the Synopsis of the 16 Cycles. I'll read the little subtitle. It says, being 48,000 years and also including the sub-cycle of 1,000 years of darkness, covering a period from the creation of man down to the submersion of the continent of Pan. Remember, Pan is also referred to from what we understand today as Pangea. It's sunken, like they know where it is, it's sunken. Covering a period from the creation of man down to the submersion of the continent of Pan, called by the ancients the flood or deluge, which was 24,000 years BK, selected from the records in the libraries of heaven. So that's going to be good, y'all. Oh yeah, that's going to be good. All right, so let's hop on over here where we paused that in the meditation book on page 80. Oh, okay. We got a few minutes. Okay, so we started this section on what is the mind, right? So the last thing we looked at was the did we look at this? No, we didn't look at this we didn't look at this little chart. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna show you this right here and I'm gonna read it to you. It's like the process of the mind, the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the conscious mind. Okay. So the unconscious mind is the causal, the causal body, right? And so that's this first body here. So it's talking about going from states of being completely oblivious to what's going on around you, and most of everybody walking around on the earth in the normal hustle and bustle of life, they're walking around in this state, right? Or what we would call they're walking around in the matrix and don't even realize they're walking around in the matrix. That is the completely unconscious state, right? And everybody that's been here has been there, right? Okay, so the next one is the subconscious mind. That's the astral body, or what we would call our spirit, right? And then under that is the conscious mind, the waking state, and it has the physical body. And the waking state is where you are when you realize what in the world is going on here, right? And you start paying attention to different things happening around you, and you think you're in the twilight zone, you're waking up, right? And life begins to get real interesting at that point. Okay, the individual soul is composed of three bodies: deep consciousness, which is the casual body; no sense perception at all. I mean, those are they're the walking dead, the living dead rather, right? They're alive, they're physically alive, but they're dead. They have no sense of the spirit whatsoever. They can't even perceive it. They don't understand it. Then you have thought, imagination, and the dream state. That's the astral body. And you have the subtle senses. And then it has the waking state, physical body, gross senses. All right. The mind and nervous system are instruments of the self. Remember when it says the self in here is taught, it explained earlier, it's talking about the spirit, or the higher self is your spirit encased inside of your flesh. The mind and nervous system are instruments of the self, which it uses to have experiences in the realm of time and space, which it has created in much the same way as a person falls to sleep and develops an entire dream world out of his or her own consciousness. It is at the unconscious and subconscious levels where the most intensive work of yoga takes place, because it is here that the conscious identification of a person creates impressions in the mind, and where desires based on those I gotta read that again. It is at the unconscious and subconscious levels where the most intensive work of yoga takes place, because it is here that the conscious identification of a person creates impressions in the mind, and where desires based on those impressions develop. It is these desires that keep the aspirant involved in the realm of time and space, or frees the aspirant. Hold on, I need a sip of water. I'm sorry. Okay. It is at the unconscious and subconscious levels where the most intensive work of yoga takes place, because it is here that the conscious identification of a person creates impressions in the mind, and where desires based on those impressions develop. It is these desires that keep the aspirant involved in the realm of time and space, or frees the aspirant from the world of time and space if they are sublimated into the spiritual desire for enlightenment. The desire to attain enlightenment is not viewed in the same manner as ego based desires. It is viewed as being aspiration, which is a positive movement. Enlightenment is a term used to describe the highest level of spiritual awakening. It means attaining such a level of spiritual awareness that one discovers the underlying unity of the entire universe, as well as the fact that the source of all creation is the same source from which the innermost self within every human heart arises. Externalized consciousness, distracted by egoism and worldly objects. The light of the self consciousness shines through the mind, and this is what sustains life. The flow of consciousness in most people is from within moving outward. This causes them to be externalized and distracted, and they lose energy. Where the mind goes, energy flows. So whatever you think on, all the energy, everything that your body creates will flow to that, right? The flow of consciousness in most people is from within moving outward. This causes them to be externalized and distracted, and they lose energy. Where the mind goes, energy flows. Have you ever noticed that you can feel someone looking at you? This is because there is a subtle energy being transmitted through their vision, which is an extension of the mind. Those who live in this externalized state of mind are not aware of the source of consciousness. Meditation, as well as other disciplines of yoga, serve to reverse the flow of consciousness on itself, so that the mind acts as a mirror which reveals the true self. The next section is internalized consciousness of a yoga practitioner. Most people are unaware that there are deeper levels to their being, just as they are unaware the fact that physical reality is not physical. Quantum physics experiments have proven that the physical world is not composed of matter but energy. This supports the findings of the ancient sages who have taught for thousands of years that the reality which is experienced by the human senses is not an absolute reality, but a conditional one. Therefore, you must strive to raise beyond your conditioned mind and senses in order to perceive reality as it truly is. Hey, girl. Don't play with this right now, because that stuff was all over your brethren's floor. We ain't about to have it in here. You have to wait, so you can play with it on top of one of them paper plates. You ain't gonna play with it right now. You gonna wait till I'm done, and that way you can sit right here and play with it. Tootie, don't start. Come back over there. Okay. This supports the findings. Go on back over there. Go back over there. Babe, call your daughter over there with you. Go. Quantum physics experiments have proven that the physical world is not composed of matter but energy. This supports the findings of the ancient sages who have taught for thousands of years that the reality which is experienced by the human senses is not an absolute reality but a conditional one. Therefore, you must strive to raise above your conditioned mind and senses in order to perceive reality as it truly is. Lavon, hey girl, hey. Just as the sun is revealed when the clouds disperse, so the light of the self or the light of the spirit is revealed when the mind is free of thoughts, imaginations, ideas, delusions, gross emotions, sentimental attachments, etc. In fact, these thoughts, imaginations, ideas, delusions, gross emotions, sentimental attachments are the refractions of the light of the self, the light of your innermost consciousness. The self, your true identity, is visible to the conscious mind. How is this possible? This is the teaching and goal of all meditation practices. Oh, yeah. We're about to get into the ba and the ka. The book that we're going to read after this, oh, wait, okay. So the book we're going to read after this is not going to come directly after this. We got another little pamphlet. Remember the book we just read with, I'm about to call him Arnold Palmer, Manly Palmer Hall. That little thin book we just read. There is another one he did called the Initiates. Anyway, it's another thin book like that. We're gonna wedge in between the next book, which the next book is called The 9 Eyes of Light, right? And it gets into the deeper detail of the ba and the ka, right? The spirit and the soul and how it operates. It's gonna break it down like on another whole level. It's amazing. I haven't read through all of it. I got through a good bit of it, right? Okay, so just in case you didn't know, I know I mentioned that a little while before, but I'll repost it. Yeah, thank you, Audrey. Initiates of the Flame. Yes, that's what we're gonna read after this. Is another thin book. They have it on Amazon. You can order the book. You can read it on Kindle, or you can listen to it. Right, and I just re-listened to it again yesterday, and it's like an hour. It's like an hour long. It's a little bit over an hour, like an hour and 20 minutes, I think, or hour and 14 minutes. But it's really good. It's another one of them that is good to revisit like on a monthly basis. Just make sure the principles sink down, right? So you can stay aware of what's going on around you, right? Because when you begin to see it, you can't unsee it. Yes, it is. You listen to it, Audrey? I'm telling you, it's so good. Yeah, that's the little book we're going to read right after we're done with this. And then we're going to get into the 9 Eyes of Light. Okay, back to this. Page 86. Universal Ba. The Ba is the soul, right? That's what they in Egypt what they call the soul, the Ba. Matter of fact, in different African languages, they refer to father as Ba, not Ba, but Baba, right? Okay, but we'll get into all that. Okay, you have the universal Ba, which is the soul. And then you have the individual soul, which is the mind and the senses, which is the astral body, the astral world, or the tuat, or the underworld. And then under that, you have the physical body and the physical world. And it has like this little diagram, and I'll show it to you. That's what I just read. This right here. Okay. All right, y'all. We're almost done. When you are active and not practicing or experiencing the wisdom of yoga, remember what yoga was. Yoga, the true definition of yoga is to yoke. To yoke what? To yoke us back to the creator, right? It's the discipline of yoga. Yoking ourselves, yoking our spirit back to the great spirit, the main spirit, the source of all energy, whom we refer to as Yah. Okay. When you are active and not practicing or experiencing the wisdom of yoga, you are distracted from the real you. This distraction, which comes from the desires, cravings, and endless motion of thoughts in the mind, is the veil which blocks your perception of your deeper essence, the self, or the spirit, or the higher you, the part of Yah that lives in you. All of us carry the flame of the great creator, of the great flame. We are a part of the great flame. We are the great flame, but we are not the great flame. We are a part of them. Just like my daughter is me. She's a part of me. She comes out of me, but she's not me. She's herself, but she belongs to me. She's a flame from my flame. Get it? Okay. Same thing. This let me go back. When you are active and not practicing or experiencing the wisdom of yoga, you are distracted from the real you. This distraction, which comes from the desires, cravings, and endless motions of the thoughts and the mind, is the veil which blocks your perception of your deeper essence, the self. These distractions keep you involved in the mind, senses, and body that you have come to believe is the real you. When your body is motionless and you are thinking and feeling, you are mostly associated with your mind. At times, when you are not thinking, such as in the dreamless sleep state, then you are associated with your higher self. However, this connection in the dreamless sleep state is veiled by ignorance because you are asleep and not aware of the experience. During this time, you do, however, experience profound peace and rest. This is possible because you are turning away from your ego personality, your individual self, and you are going into the realm of the inner self. In essence, you are moving closer to that which is universal and turning away from that which is limited. In order to discover this realm, you must consciously turn away from the phenomenal world, the world of your ego and its problems, concerns, worries, and anxieties, which is distracting you from this inner reality. The practice of yoga accomplishes this task. Meditation, when backed up by the practice of yoga philosophy, is the most powerful agent of self discovery. The practice of meditation allows you to develop a higher awareness which will affect all aspects of your life. But most importantly, it gives you the aspirant experiential knowledge of your true self. All right. I'm going to show you this next diagram, and I'm going to read what it says first. Above, a two-dimensional schematic drawing of the human mind and its relationship to the self or soul, right? Okay, so you have the self right in the middle, and then you have the layers that expand outward, right? So the self would be our spirit encased inside of our body, and there is a level that encapsulates us. There are multiple levels that cover us up, right? The different, you'll see. Okay, so in the middle you have the self, then around the self you have the unconscious, then around the unconscious you have the subconscious, and then around the subconscious you have the conscious, and then around the conscious you have senses and the physical body. This is for Facebook so they can see it. All right, YouTube. Okay. Most people look at their body, thoughts, and feelings and say, "This is me." In reality, a human being is in reality a complex organism composed of conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind. These forms of your personality or the person you have come to know as you, with your particular tastes, family associations, religious and social affiliations, etc. Underlying all of this is the universal consciousness, which is like an ocean. On the surface of this ocean is the personality, and supporting it is the ocean of consciousness, the self. The project of spiritual life and meditation practice is to go deep into this ocean by controlling the mind with its thoughts, desires, etc. on the surface through the various practices of yoga, right? So, yoga helps us to control the mind. It's the first thing we have to do. We have to learn to get control of our mind. If we don't, we're going to be all willy nilly, all over the place, right? So, you have to learn how to focus, meditate. Whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, you have to learn how to control that raging fire that's going on inside of your big dome, right? Once you can do that, you can begin to hear clearer. You begin to see clearer, right? Let me read where we at. With hour. I'm gonna read these next two. Look, they small. Okay. Page 88. The universal soul is the source of all individual souls, or the universal soul would be known as Yah, right? And we are the individual souls. Okay. Has another little diagram, and it says the supreme self, spirit, universal soul. The supreme self, right here, or the supreme spirit, or the great spirit, which would be Yah. And then you have these that flow out. Then you have the individual soul. Oh yeah, individual soul, individual soul, individual soul, individual soul. Okay. The distraction of the soul in the world of human experience leads to mental impressions which are based on the external reality, physical reality, and on ignorance of the truth, the higher soul reality. These impressions lead the mind to experience desires, thoughts, and aspirations, which lead a human being to experience more desires and more distractions. Desires born of ignorance cannot be satisfied through the mind and senses because these are limited and the experiences are fleeting. No matter how long they last during a person's life, they are only transient experiences and never wholly fulfilling. Since the desires of the mind and senses, based on ignorance, can never be fulfilled, the soul is led to experience repeated situations of frustration and mental unrest and further away from the inner peace of the self within. Let me read that again. Listen. Since the desires of the mind and senses based on ignorance, meaning what you believe, if it's based on untruth, you will have constant unrest in your mind, right? It's going to keep leading you around the bend and you're not going to find any kind of fulfillment. It's a dead end. And until you extract them thoughts or kick them out, you're going to keep running into it and you're going to be frustrated all the time and angry, just all these things. Listen, no matter, let me go back. Let me just go read it all. The distraction of the soul in the world of human experience leads to mental impressions or mental thoughts, right? Things that are floating around up here. The distraction of the soul in the world of human experience leads to mental impressions which are based on the external reality or physical reality and on ignorance of the truth, the higher soul reality. These impressions lead the mind to experience desires, thoughts, and aspirations which lead a human being to experience more desires and more distractions. Desires born of ignorance cannot be satisfied through the mind and senses because these are limited and the experiences are fleeting. No matter how long they last, no matter how long they last during a person's life, they are only transient experiences and never wholly fulfilling. Since the desires of the mind and senses based on ignorance can never be fulfilled, the soul is led to experience repeated situations of frustration and mental unrest, and further away from the inner peace of the self within. The individual soul of every human being is in reality seeking to discover the wholeness and peace of its true nature, the universal soul within, or the God within, or Yah within. God who resides on the inside of me. That's who we're searching for, right? We're searching to connect back to our Creator. The individual soul of every human being is in reality seeking to discover the wholeness and peace of its true nature, the universal soul within. However, the ignorant search to fulfill the desires of the mind leads it to countless situations in the realm of human experiences, which in turn lead to more experiences in an endless cycle which continues even after death and causes the soul to return to human form again and again in a futile effort to satisfy the desires based on ignorance. So if you don't pass this grade, you get to come back and do it again, right? And until you get that right, you are doomed to keep repeating that cycle. Now I know I've been here countless times, right? This is my last go around this being. I'm not coming back to the earth. Not at least not in this grade. When I come back, I aspire to be a teacher, right? I really do. So you come back as you, of course, when you pass from this life, depending on how well you did or how well you didn't do, will determine up, send them back, send them back to the west side. Go west, young man. Yeah, they need to come back again. They failed. They're gonna have to repeat the grade. This time they're gonna come back. They ain't gonna be black this time. We're gonna send them back. Maybe they'll learn a lesson if we put them in a different part of the world, in a different type of body, different situation, different people. We'll send them back. The same soul, different vehicle, right? It's always the same soul that comes back. But every time you come back, you get a different vehicle, a human form vehicle. You ain't gonna come back as a moose or a giraffe or a spider or a butterfly. That is not what that is. Somebody didn't start screwing with stuff with that there. That is not how you come back. You can come back in human form, not the same body, but you're gonna get a different body, possibly a different ethnic background or whatever. But it's the same exact spirit. They ain't losing track of you. They know everybody, what you look like in every generation. They know you, right? How many times you had to learn this lesson? You done been through all the races. You ain't got it yet. You get to experience life from every situation, every outlook, right? Maybe you'll be able to pull it together in your latter visit. Okay, let me go back. Look, hold on. Since the desires of the mind and senses based on ignorance can never be fulfilled, the soul is led to experience repeated situations of frustration and mental unrest. Yes, baby. Yes, when I get done. I'm almost done. I promise you I'm almost done.
These pages?
No, this I'm at the end of this page. I'm stopping. I got like 3 more sentences. Okay. No matter how long they last during a person's life, they are only transient experiences and never wholly fulfilling. Since the desires of the mind and senses based on ignorance can never be fulfilled, the soul is led to experience repeated situations of frustration and mental unrest and further away from the inner peace of the self within. The individual soul of every human being is in reality seeking to discover the wholeness and peace of its true nature, the universal soul within. However, the ignorant search to fulfill the desires of the mind leads it to countless situations in the realm of human experience, which in turn lead to more experiences in an endless cycle which continues even after death and causes the soul to return to human form again and again in a futile effort to satisfy the desires based on ignorance. These teachings of the cycles of birth and death, which the individual soul experiences, are known as the doctrines of karma and reincarnation. And this is what we're going to pause at today. Beautiful people. So we'll come back with this chart on page 89, well, a diagram rather. And so the next few pages are diagrams, and it's explaining the diagrams. And then it gets into karma and reincarnation. So we'll probably read a little bit of this because it's going to probably take us maybe like 5 minutes to read through the diagrams, and then we'll get into this. That's going to be good. All right, y'all. So that is it for today. Page number. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for the day. I did. All right, y'all. It is Sunday, May the 1st, 2022, day 96 of year 4, reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets, another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1114. We read pages 49 through 54 in the Oahspe, and we read pages 84 through 88 in the meditation book. All right. That's it for today, y'all. I'm about to get out of here. I ain't got nothing to say. Oh, we're supposed to be looking for the new moon, right? So the Sabbath is going to change, and it's either, if we spot it tonight, the Sabbath will shift to Sunday. But if we don't spot it tonight, we spot it tomorrow, Monday. The Sabbath for this moon cycle will be Monday. All right, y'all. So that's it. May y'all continue to bless you. May you have peace in all that you do, and may you not have to repeat this cycle of life again. May you graduate to the next level. Gain all the wisdom and everything you can this go around, right? Let everything be your teacher, right? Everything can be your teacher. From the human race to the animals, the plant kingdom, good behaviors, bad behaviors. Learn what to do and what not to do. Take it and add it. Keep it. Take everything with you. All the lessons you learn, take them with you while you're on your journey, right? And hopefully, when it's time for the test, you'll be able to pass it. All right, y'all. That's it. I see y'all back here tomorrow, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bruce.
Mom,
Yes.
next week, go to the boys' room and go get my lipstick.
Yep, we'll go get it. You want to end the video? Bye, y'all.
You didn't get this yet.
I did. I already wrote in that. Oh, yeah.
I can't press anything.
Go ahead.
I said this was the correct one.
Mm-hmm. It's not. That is.